On June 6, 1944, a date etched forever in history, thousands of young men waded into the icy surf of Normandy, France. The sky was a storm of fire and steel. Among them was Frank Ergang, an American infantryman, just a kid, really. He couldn't have known that this single day, this brutal landing, would define the rest of his life. The air was a suffocating mix of smoke and the sounds of chaos. Bullets ripped through the water around him, turning the waves red. With every step toward the shore, a friend, a brother in arms, would fall. There was no room for thought, no time for fear, only the instinct to push forward into the storm. Frank made it off that beach, but surviving the landing was just the beginning. The real war, the long, grinding war, had just begun. He found himself fighting through the dense hedgerows of France, a landscape where death could be hiding behind any bush. The fighting was relentless, a brutal close-quarters struggle. Days and nights became a meaningless blur of hunger, bone-chilling cold, and sheer exhaustion. Fear was a constant companion, a knot in his stomach that never went away. In one of these vicious firefights, Frank was severely wounded. He came terrifyingly close to being captured, but through a combination of luck and sheer will, he survived. After weeks in a field hospital, a period of recovery that did little to mend the deeper wounds, he was sent back to his unit. He was a changed man, scarred both on his body and deep within his soul. When he returned, the familiar faces were gone. The friends he had landed with, the ones he had shared stories and fears with, had been replaced by new soldiers, strangers whose faces would also soon vanish in the crucible of combat. Then came the Battle of the Bulge. In the frozen, snow-covered forests of Belgium, Frank and his fellow soldiers faced their darkest winter. The cold was as much an enemy as the soldiers on the other side. By this point, survival no longer felt like a victory. Each day he lived, each step he took, came at an unbearable cost, the loss of another comrade, another piece of his own humanity. When peace was finally declared, it didn't bring the relief or joy everyone expected. For Frank, the silence was deafening. The war had officially ended, but for him, it would never truly be over. The ghosts of the battlefield would follow him home. Years later, Frank Ergang put his experiences into words. He wrote a memoir called Etched in Purple. It wasn't written as a story of heroism or glory. It was a raw, honest confession, a testament to the pain, the endurance, and the haunting power of memory. He wrote about the gnawing hunger, the constant, paralyzing fear, and the silent, unspoken duty that compelled them to keep moving forward, no matter what. In his reflections, he once said, "We were told we were heroes, but all I could remember were the faces I left behind." Frank's story is not one of triumph, but of sacrifice. It's a powerful, gut-wrenching reminder of the true price of war, a price that is etched forever in the bodies, the minds, and the shared history of those who lived through it. It reminds us that behind the grand narratives of history are individual human beings who carried an unimaginable weight. The experiences of soldiers like Frank Ergang should never be forgotten. Their stories are a crucial part of our history, showing us the profound human cost of conflict. Thank you for watching and for taking the time to remember. If you found this story meaningful, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories that deserve to be told.